Well, hi, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to our second edition of Breaking News for this Saturday, the 5th day of April, 2025. The headlines, as usual, continue to set the stage for the coming events that have been predicted in Scripture. Three really big stories, actually. The first one is founder Klaus Schwab is departing as the World Economic Forum chair. It's a Breitbart story. It is a huge, huge story, as you will see. Now, their final days. Iran orders advisors to leave Yemen. They are abandoning the Houthis, another huge story. Then finally, Iran's regime loves talks and talks and talks, the path to nuclear weapons. And someone who is an expert on the subject wrote in great detail what we've been saying here, as opposed to some of these advisors of Donald Trump that think you can talk to Iran and get something done. He put it very well. So we'll go on that story too. So three big ones. Now, also too, couple of housekeeping things. We've recorded and posted our third episode on 25 signs. We're near the end, signs 11 to 15. Now, I have to apologize to those of you out there who watch that and listen to us on the app. I forgot to do it on the app the last couple of days. It just hit me. So I put all three of them on the app today. But by the way, we do have an app, EOW with Don Stewart, Educating Our World with Don Stewart. It's a free download from both app stores, whether it's Android or Apple. And please take advantage of it. It helps out an awful lot if you just want to, on your phone, listen to what we have to say or whatever. Again, everything's free. They're up to date. When we record this, the program that I do here will be probably on the app like 5 minutes after it's posted on YouTube. So it's right there. So again, the app EOW, Educating Our World with Don Stewart. Okay, and sorry I didn't get those first two, but they're all there now, so you can watch and listen to them. All right, here's headline number one. Founder Klaus Schwab departing as World Economic Forum chair. This is a Breitbart story. The globalist World Economic Forum, the WEF, founder Klaus Schwab has begun to start process of stepping down as chair of its board of trustees. The Geneva-based institution confirmed on Thursday. The German academic said the forum, which convenes its annual gathering of world elites, the Swiss resort of Davos, must recover its sense of mission after a period of turmoil. The Financial Times first reported Schwab's departure, citing a letter to a trustee board and to trustee board members and confirmation by two people with knowledge of the situation. The missive reportedly said in part, I am deeply convinced that in today's special context, the forum is more important and relevant than ever before. Now, he gave no timeline for his departure from the organization, from which he has been the executive chair for more than a half century, more than 50 years. But the World Economic Forum said in a statement to the Financial Times, the process should be completed by January 2027. Now, the man's 87 years of age, and his signal to the Board of Trustees he would resign as the non-executive chairman of the Board of Trustees reportedly came as a surprise because given that he only transitioned to the job the past few months and promised many times to keep on working at mastering global control issues. You got that? Mastering the global control issues. The globalist will now focus on writing his memoirs, we're told. He said making the announcement on April 1st has special significance. It sure does. April Fools. That's what he's been for these 55 years. Said he started to develop the concept of a global village on this exact date 55 years ago. Now, on Friday's Alex Marlow show, that's from Breitbart TV, the host and editor-in-chief Marlow talked about leadership changes within the World Economic Forum. He said the outgoing World Economic Forum head, Klaus Schwab's departure, isn't that meaningful. And here's the reason why. He said, I'm completely confident he's going to pass it on his globalist economic forum to other bad guys. So he has a secret blueprint for the World Economic Forum. And here's the secret blueprint to control every aspect of your life and my life. He talked about Schwab's advisor and likely successor, a man named Yuval Noah Harari, if you know about him, an absolute kook. Harari's comments about the most of the population being unneeded. Yeah, so most of the population in the world is not needed. So we'll, find a way, obviously, to get rid of them. That end up leading to genocide. Just that conversation that these people have had. They're globalists. There's the founder of the World Economic Forum. And sadly, globalism is exactly where the world is headed. See, our 25 signs, we're near the end. Sign 13, there'll be a one world political and economic system or globalism in the system because it'll be centralized with the technology, with monetary, where there'll be probably a common currency, one worldwide currency. It'll be digital. And it doesn't exactly say that there no one can buy or sell without the mark of the beast, but it'll probably be a common currency and it'll be a digital currency because it'll be controlled and monitored everywhere. And it'll be something worldwide that the final Antichrist and his cohort, the false prophet, somehow will be able to control. They'll get control of that, even though he's only going to be the head of the 10 nation confederation of Western Europe. There'll be a global control there. So this is where the world's headed. We hate to see it because globalism does not care about the individual, does not care about sovereign countries. And when we talk about it, like I said, in detail, so please see 25 signs, sign 13. Again, the book is a free download as all our material is free from our website, Educating Our World. And educate yourself on globalism because this is where our world's headed, very sadly. All right, now headline number two, another huge one. Their final days, Iran orders advisors to leave Yemen, abandoning the Houthis. Iran has ordered its military personnel to leave Yemen, effectively cutting off support for its Houthi allies as the United States intensifies its air campaign against the rebel group, the British newspaper The Telegraph reported on Thursday. A senior Iranian official told the newspaper that the move was intended, here's the reason, to avoid a direct confrontation with the United States in the event that an Iranian soldier is killed. The withdrawal marks a notable shift in Iran's regional strategy as it reduces support for proxy forces to prioritize it sees as direct threats from Washington. Now, that last line was really interesting because we're going to talk about Iran has been working through its proxies. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas, of course, in Gaza. You've got the Houthis in Yemen. And the whole idea was to, zero in and on Israel and basically attack them from all sides. And the first three now, with the Houthis being abandoned, have been an ultimate failure. There is no more Hamas that have a military that can do anything. Hezbollah, same thing. They can't get resupplied by Syria. So it's a real mess for Iran right now. So the main concern, like they say, is now Donald Trump. Iran, we got to deal with him. Every meeting is dominated by discussions about Trump. None of the regional groups, he said, we previously supported are being discussed. In other words, Iran is just getting rid of everybody because Trump is escalating, as the article says, the pressure on Iran, repeated warnings that failure to negotiate its nuclear program and regional activities will result in devastating attacks, as we talked about today. He has also declared any attack carried out by the Houthis, who continue to receive backing by Tehran, will be considered an attack from Iran itself. That's why Iran is basically taking all its people out of there. Now, what's interesting is this next sentence. According to the Iranian source, officials in Tehran do not believe any longer that the Houthis can withstand sustained American bombardment. They're living their final months or even days, the official said. There's no point in keeping them on our list. They were part of a chain that relied on Hezbollah leader Nasrallah and Syrian President Assad, who are no longer in the game right now. And keeping only one part of that chain for the future makes no sense. And so they are going to be abandoned. And we know we've been talking about the U.S. has been hitting them basically daily with airstrikes in Yemen. Described the campaign as unbelievably successful, eliminating senior commanders, destroying key missile assets. American bombs have really done the job there, very pinpoint accuracy. And so the Pentagon now, what they've done, and this is again how it's all shaping up. They have the USS Carl Vinson currently deployed to Indo-Pacific region, steaming towards the Middle East. That's an aircraft carrier. And it's going to support the aircraft carrier USS Harry Truman that's stationed near Yemen. So Defense Secretary Houthis said reinforcements of air squadrons and additional air defense capabilities have been ordered. And so we've got these B-2 bombers there. These are the stealth bombers that are basically undetectable by radar, even though the radar is somewhat obsolete there in Iran now anyway because of Israel last October shooting it down. So Iran is naked. These from these battleships, they can go either to either Yemen or Iran, depending on what the need is. So the stage is being set for a final showdown there. And so with the stealth bombers and all that. So it's a huge story here because Iran is cutting its losses with the Houthis. Like we said, they cannot supply Hezbollah because of the change of regime in Syria. No hopes of getting supplies to them, and no hopes of having Hamas become a military power that can help defeat Israel. So there's only one genuine hope left that they have. And our next headline is from an expert in the Middle East who explains their predicament and why it is necessary to do what we've been talking about. They must do. Headline number three from Gatestone Institute. Iran's regime loves talks and talks and talks. The path to nuclear weapons. The Iranian regime has made it clear that it has no plans, get this, no plans to abandon its nuclear ballistic missile programs. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei has openly stated that Libya's Muammar Gaddafi made a fatal mistake by giving up his nuclear program. The ruling regime in Iran is once again resorting to its most effective survival strategy. What is that? Pretending to be open to negotiations. As expected, Tehran responded to President Donald Trump by expressing willingness to engage in talks, sort of, just indirectly. The move should not be mistaken for a sign of goodwill, the writer says, or a genuine desire to resolve tensions. Instead, and here it is, a calculated attempt to buy time, deceive the West, and accelerate the region's nuclear program. Now, here is the key, and this is so important to understand. Iran is at one of its weakest points. It has suffered significant losses on multiple fronts, from the collapse of the Assad regime in Syria to the degradation at the hands of Israel and of its most powerful proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah. Meanwhile, its economy is crumbling and its currency has hit historic lows. So this is the moment for the West to have increasing pressure on Iran, not giving it any breathing room through negotiations. By extending an invitation for talks, however, the U.S. and its allies are doing exactly what the regime wants, giving it time to regroup and plot its next moves. The West needs to recognize the intentions of Iran's rulers. They have made it clear they have no plans to abandon any of their nuclear or ballistic missile programs. Khomeini's openly stated, like we said, Gaddafi made that fatal mistake by giving us his program. And each time, what happens? It's pressure time. It's delay, 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 talks, talks, talks. The goal is never to reach an agreement, just stretch it out while their military is trying to get to the place where they have a, nuclear grade material where they can put a nuclear weapon into practice and destroy the little Satan, Israel, and the big Satan, United States. So that's the goal delay. No negotiation with the Iranian public, or excuse me, with the Islamic Republic of Iran has ever, this is a key here. I wish Trump's advisors would hear this. No negotiation with the Islamic Republic of Iran, been around since 1979, has ever led to a lasting constructive result. None, zero, nada. Instead, all negotiations have enabled the mullahs to manipulate the international community under the guise of diplomacy. Iran is also doubtless counting on its powerful allies, China and Russia, both of which are more likely to provide more than willing to provide Tehran with the technology and resources needed to complete their nuclear weapons. That is why the article then finishes by saying, this is why negotiations are not just a bad idea, they are a direct threat to international security. Talks give Iran the time that it needs to complete its nuclear weapons. Every day spent negotiating is a day this dangerous regime moves closer and closer to achieving its ultimate goal. So, unfortunately, the only way out to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons is to take out the installations and infrastructure of the country's nuclear program. The world cannot afford to make the same mistake as it did with North Korea, which used negotiations to stall until it successfully developed nuclear bombs. Now, what a contrast. This man is an absolute expert from the Middle East. He's Islamic, by the way, too. I don't know if he's a Muslim, but he writes for Gatestone. And he writes some very erudite and very intelligent things here. But he is an expert on the Middle East. And basically he says, look, Iran, it's well known. They're a bunch of liars. They've never had an agreement yet they've kept. They just go on and on and on because they're stalling for time. So what a contrast between this man, who is an expert, and some of the ignorant statements that we've quoted from Trump's advisors who say that a deal with Iran is possible. Well, no, it isn't. Iran's only hope of achieving its purpose to have nuclear weapons that can destroy Israel and the U.S. The United States must not let it happen. It must strike Iran and must strike Iran soon. And that's the import of this article. And again, hopefully, because Trump is an impatient person, he won't let it go very long before making the move to do something. You've got the weapons all there, you've got the assets there, the B-2 bombers, you've got the two aircraft, one aircraft carrier there, one on the way. You've got the Houthis down and now out almost. And so Iran, you're next on the list. And so with these two stories here, with Iran and the Houthis and the fact that it's time now to hit. It really is because, again, as we emphasize from scripture, here's what we know what's going to happen. Iran will be a military threat to some degree, but not the big threat to Israel. They will be a surrogate of Russia, according to Ezekiel chapter 38. They will be part of a coalition, but they will not lead the coalition. They will be on their own, along with Turkey and other countries. And so, whatever they have now will be degraded. And again, like we said, from the north and the south of Israel, there will be peace, seeming peace. Again, no more Hezbollah, no more Hamas. And at that particular time, when everything seems rosy and fine, when they're living on what they think is security, that's when the invasion will take place sometime in the future. And again, we talk about this, as we mentioned this morning, in our two books, 25 Signs. We're near the end, signs 9 through 11, where we talk about the Ezekiel 38, 39 invasion. In a book, we have in great detail the Ezekiel 38, 39 invasion. We talk about everything you can imagine, even then some, about what's going on. And of course, the one to read in concert with that, the final Antichrist, which will fit what we just talked about in our first headline with the globalism that's coming up, because it will be the entire globe, that centralized system that he will take advantage of and take over at the end of the age before the second coming of Christ. So you see how it's all amazingly coming together. But again, we need scripture to understand what's going on, to make sense of it. If we didn't have the Bible, we wouldn't know what's going to happen. We wouldn't make any sense of it. We just think things are happening here and there. No, they're happening exactly here and there, but for a purpose. And we see it's all moving towards ahead. So we're excited about bringing this to you every day. And again, we'll keep you posted. If other things come up, we'll interrupt our regular scheduled program. And until tomorrow, as always, I'm Don Stewart. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Lord richly, richly bless.